Welcome back, everyone. We finally got a healthy dose of fear in the market. Today, we're going to talk about today's price action. We're going to look at some stocks that now are actually setting up pretty well into the PPI, and we're also going to dive into that report and really what to expect for tomorrow. Without further ado, let's take a look and let's dive in. And we had mentioned on prior recap videos, guys, the sellers, they're out. We don't really have any fear, so the risk reward isn't really that great. We actually got a heavy amount of put buying for yesterday's trading session. His total put to call ratio spiked all the way up to 1.22, and our equity put to call ratio spiked even higher. I believe that one came in at a 1.46 reading. So after seeing this thing bright and early in the morning, I was a little bit more optimistic heading into today's trading session, given that we had it was like 4 or 5 consecutive red candles in a row. And lo and behold, we actually got a bounce day in the market. We had up volume of 63.6% today, and our S&P 500 finished up 0.78%. The NASDAQ actually did pretty well on a relative basis. It finished up over 1%. Our ARK Innovation ETF, which has been horrible, finished up 2.36%. And we did get a pullback in both our long bond ETF, if we even call it a pullback, just pretty much a consolidation. And the same thing for our dollar index. Our trend model actually flipped from a -3 to a -1. And that's really the beauty of actually having a process and looking at the same indicators every single day that you can actually see in real time as they are flipping and respond to those changes. On our sector map, it was green across the screen with KWEB, the China Internet ETF, once again leading the market. And I have no idea what happened with this cannabis space. It boomed for 3 or 4 sessions consecutively, and then it just got the ultimate rug pull. Noteworthy, our XITK Innovative Tech Fund was up 3.01%, and it is actually moving higher in our momentum list. The S&P 500 managed to close with a green candle, and we closed pretty much right on top of this monthly point of control. So this is by no means an easy situation to navigate. It's not like, oh, the trend model's at a +3, everything is just pointing up. But it's really just the first sign that buyers were at least stepping in to buy the dip, and they at least regained control on a daily basis right after investors turned super fearful yesterday. So overall, this is a good thing. The NASDAQ had a bounce at the 50-day simple moving average, and we engulfed yesterday's red candle. The Russell 2000 also had a bounce at the 50-day simple moving average, but you can see we did close well off the highs. I got some questions earlier today about like what's going on, why is there this selling? A lot of times ahead of a binary event, and we've actually got 3 coming up. We have PPI tomorrow, we've got CPI, I believe it's on Tuesday, and then we have Fed Wednesday. There's a lot of investors that they just sell into the strength because they're like, am I really going to buy the rip into the PPI? That could be a recipe for disaster. So it's tough to really take much from some things closing off the highs. Our Dow Jones did close above this monthly point of control. So a step in the right direction technically, but it's all going to come down to tomorrow's binary event, which is the PPI. This data point is going to be released at 8:30 a.m., so make sure you're up and on the screen early in the morning tomorrow. We have a consensus estimate of a 0.2% increase month over month, which would be in line with the prior month's increase. Now, as we look at our Trueflation dashboard, we can see that this thing has been a pretty reliable indicator this year. It's been a leading indicator, and it continues to move lower. We also know that energy prices have come down significantly, used car prices. We're starting to see those individual data points start to move in the right direction. So honestly, although it is a binary event, the situation that I see lined up is investors loaded the boat with put options and protection. We've had maybe like 4 or 5 days of sell-off after a pretty nice run in the market. And I would say there's an over 50% chance that the PPI either comes out in line with the expectation or below the expectation. So with that said, I think if you were prudent over the last couple days, I think you have a good opportunity and a shot at being long into the market tomorrow heading into the PPI. If you're not comfortable with binary event risk, of course, there was no reason to really add any exposure today because we've got the event tomorrow. But I certainly did add a little bit of exposure today. I got long the Crocs common shares for $97.74. I just wrote here, investors are loaded up with puts into the PPI. The other day, as a test exposure, we added MBLY. That one did pretty well. Then yesterday we added TARK. Today that did pretty well. So I added another position, Crocs. It had kind of like a weak finish, but overall I think, it still looks fine. Hasn't hit my stop, nothing like that. So we'll see. I have to be prepared though. If the PPI just comes out way hotter than expected and the market just has an adverse reaction, I need to know where my stops are. That way I can take that necessary action if the event comes in, way worse than we expected, and I have to be ready to stop out of those positions. There's no such thing as a free lunch in the market. If you're willing to take the risk and try to go for that return, then you have to, assume the risk as well. As I was doing my post-market scanning, I went through about 300 or so tickers, and there's a lot of stocks that are actually setting up. And why is this the case? Because, well, a lot of these stocks are pretty extended, but we got about a 4 or 5 day pullback. So what that does is it allows the key moving averages to catch up, and then price is also catching down. So you just naturally get a lot of stocks where all you really need is one green candle, and then the setup just looks pretty good. CalX is one example of this. I mean, look at this action right here. This is actually beginning to look like a pretty constructive pattern. ACLS breaking out of the monthly value area. DXCM took out this VPOC today. This also looks like a pretty constructive technical pattern. LSCC, Lattice Semiconductor. Even this one, we're pushing right up to that monthly value area. URI putting in a high base, approaching the top of value. Also looking pretty good. BMI, another example of a stock that is breaking out of value. ATKR, same story. We've got KLAC, which is KLA Corporation, another semiconductor stock, also looks like it is breaking out of value. Even some of the mega cap tech stocks like Netflix are looking a little bit better, right? I mean, this stock, it's making a series of higher highs and higher lows, which isn't bad, right? So a lot of these stocks, like I think Netflix is the perfect example. If that PPI comes out light, they're pretty much sitting on the launch pad, right? We could just have another one of those beautiful days tomorrow where we all come to tomorrow's recap video and we're like, man, all those stocks went up like 5 or 6%, but it's a binary event. So you have that risk. I feel much more comfortable knowing that plenty of other investors are hedged into tomorrow's event, and that's why I added one additional trade. If the PPI comes out light and the market starts jolting higher in the pre-market, I probably will go ahead and add one more piece of exposure. And as we can see, as we shuffle through the charts, there's plenty of candidates. Overall, I think it's make or break for the indices, and it really is make or break for this Santa Claus rally. My baseline expectation is that tomorrow's gonna go pretty well, but we're gonna have to see what the river brings, team. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you click the like button on it. It really supports the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Our goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're getting a few every night, which is fantastic. Best of luck trading the PPI tomorrow, and we'll see you all next time.